So we are at Saturn hour and ascendant 22, that's the ascendant Scorpio, which is my Mars, Peter's sun. Moon squaring the nodes exactly from 3 degrees Capricorn. This is Saturn hour, and that was, of course, an attempt to pinpoint me at Saturn hour. That was very malefic. That was snuff, okay? Very simply put. And the first omen that I see as I go on YouTube to record that is a tarot reading that says, this is over. They can no longer be seen as the good guy sitting behind. And that goes to Eden Nevo, but you gotta go to the prophets that's behind that. Eden Nevo is trying to save his ass from being assassinated because he knows he did too much, he knows too much, he's behind too much, and he's a leader of too much that can no longer be a hidden leader. Okay, it's kind of a visible leader now. You can no longer be the maneuver behind the scenes and then say, come to interview. I have no idea. I didn't listen to him the last, I don't know how many years, right? I was a student. But you see, whoever you went to, whether tarot reader, whoever, I don't know, but it's very obvious that somebody was not taking the advice to correct that in the good way, and they were trying to do a snuff film. Now, here's the deal with that. Let's talk about Delano. Okay, let's talk about Delano because the ascendant is right fit for me and for Peter. And let's talk about Delano. And a good comparison here would be anybody that's affiliated with snuff films and preparing them and making them, and Delano. Okay? And Delano was a Polish guy that got some money and was told to shoot Peter R. de Vries. And according to what was shown by Peter was framed in a certain way. So when the bullets hit Peter, it wasn't the bullets. It wasn't the bullets. It was the framing. Okay? Eden Nevo is a master of framing people. But he's not the only one. When Shanice Arudi told me you're going to have to find new people and prescribed me an oil to remove defense, she also knows how to master the image of people because very mercurial, stellium and Virgo. But you see, you won't be the good person behind the scenes when people are, how should I say it? For every person you manage to get into a snuff film, there's 7 other people that are smuggled by the very diddlers. Annika Lucas was smuggled by the diddler, not Puff Daddy, but the one who were the handler. That was how she was saved. Let's talk about petertje oort. It's a good discussion. Petertje oort was a boy in Purmerend, and then he got kidnapped and raped. Kidnapped into a car, raped, tortured, murdered. On tape. Then they get another guy named Peter. Now what's special about that Peter? Because young Peter R. de Vries, we just ended to that, it was in the context of his beginning of his career, tending to put in the wrong guy on murder and pedophilia in jail. And he understood very well that the Supreme Court judge that does that might be involved. They arranged a very lovely show for Peter. A part of the show was petertje oort. And the car, the orange car, color of the Kingdom of Orange, it was traveling from JFK Boulevard in Purmerend in Netherlands. Now, for any of you who have been to Netherlands, that's not a typical name of street. And then it was crossing at the Churchill Street. JFK would be associated with Peter. And indeed, he tried to avoid a war. He spoke against the WHO. It's the equivalent of JFK talking about the plan to enslave humanity. And he was talking about the case of war at JFK. Okay? And I know he was double this, double that, da, 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 da. They were born in a death cult, okay? And Churchill, they had two competing for that. One is Geert Wilders, and the next one is Rutte. I know a while ago I said, I see Peter and Rutte like two rivers flowing to the same ocean. I still don't understand what it means, okay? What happened more with that petertje oort case? The brother of Petertje, okay, young Peter, some people, some viewers accused that it's the brother that did that. Now, to be fair and square, when you talk about satanic ritual abuse, but the result for this case was that the brother killed himself. And that's what the book, I think Peter wrote the book, A Murder Costs More Lives. Worse was mentioning that, I think, a while ago, because he's a lawyer and also an actor and an author. Can probably more things that we don't know. I think this story is worth mentioning. And I think the role of Delano in that equation, where there's a giant WHO, the role of Delano is also important to mention, because Delano, whatever he was told, and I bet it was not just about the money. He knew damn well he's not getting a cent of that money. They had to get it. It's the rules of the street. You know better well you're not getting a cent of that money. If you're supposed to murder some guy for some money, you know better well you're not getting paid. You're getting time. Listen to 50 Cent when he says, the greatest punishment that they can give you is time. The greatest asset you have is time. Why would that Delano guy trade his time? And if you think 50 Cent is exo-cold, he's not. And he's faced some assassination attempts towards him. Now, all these people dedicated, remember when I talked about the dedication to targeting individuals, why would they trade their time trying to assassinate someone? They know damn well they're not going to get the money and they're going to get time. Why would anybody dedicate their time to do that? The Saturn hour. Perhaps because they are afraid of doing even more time. That's something to ponder about. You see, why would I trade my time to talk about these things for so much time if I'm not genuinely targeted and genuinely wake up with dry eyes knowing that that's injustice trying to cause injustice and something to do with the snuff film? Because I know that I did not record the snuff film. I know that I was not participant in a snuff film in the sense of raping someone. I know that if any such snuff film was recorded or is being recorded is not with my consent. And I know that for many people that's a lot of time. But I also know that a lot of the people that try to send people to do a lot of time, let's just say, if they dedicate the time to try to harm me, they're afraid of doing even more time. And that time has to do with cases like petertje oort. And when I ask myself, why didn't I die yet? And I had unfortunately had to ask that question a lot. It's not a nice time to wake up in the middle of the night to something to do with the snuff film and dry eyes. It's not a nice time. It's not a nice time to have undergone incredible torture that nobody can see, not because there isn't the technology to observe. And even the Starlink is good enough technology to observe because its sensitivity to time, if it can be a satellite in space that can bring pictures from Earth, it has sensitivity to the gravity waves and the ability to translate them into light and into sound and to find anomalies. It has all of that. Okay? And funnily enough, all that is in the wake of me tending to political assassination prevention. Knowing very well that if we want to tend to expandable children, it's not about, how should I say that? It's about tending to that issue from the core. It's about taking the children out of the caves. It's about changing the structures. It's about changing the structure of the cult. It's about getting the children out of the monasteries on the ground. It's about the testimonials of satanic ritual abuse not being silenced or oppressed. You see, with Lars, he could show you a movie very likely. And it's very likely, but that wouldn't be the whole story, right? Because the whole story was he was abused and the people who abused him were abused. And we want to stop that cycle of abuse. When you watch Cormorant Murders, you don't watch the snuff film with the boy. It's for a reason, right? Not because it doesn't exist. And is my face not in some snuff films now? Very likely it is. It's a part of what they've been doing. There were cameras all up in my place and there are satellites that can see through if you open the window. I'm not going to close my windows. I'm not going to dress like a nochba because I don't want to be a nochba, right? And it's not a judgment. What is nochba is Schwab. What is Schwab is expandable child that didn't manage to kill. That's it. Why did Peter speak against WHO? Because with all that he has seen in life, and they took that young man, okay, maybe graduated out of the army, began to look at why do they put the wrong murderer in jail? They very likely by that time knew what the Supreme Judges do. It is so the thing that they tell us of a young man in his 20s that he was 12 once. That's a question of time, that's usually how time works. Chronologically, in that sense. But when they do editing, it's not the chronological thing, right? If I saw a snapshot of Peter sitting on RTL and defending Deming, and he looks horrified for a reason, I was like, what is that dumb fuckery? Where is Peter? Where is Peter? Where's the Peter in here? Okay? Where's the Peter that goes to Australia for a murder of an immigrant prostitute? he gets arrested by trespass, saying the world is upside down. Where's that Peter? If you watch Natalie Holloway, he interviews a Natalie Holloway. Okay, I was never romantically affiliated with the guy. I never knew him when he was alive, but I was jealous when I was watching that interaction. It was very, very lovely interaction. He interviews, I think it was the mother of Natalie Holloway. And then suddenly he has a glitch and he says, how do you feel about that when, that she was murdered like that by people who don't care about her? And I thought it was something else. It's another Peter coming up. And I stopped in the middle of the interview and I was like, it went from that polarity to the complete other polarity, because there was something in the tone and the emotions there that was another Peter. Okay? Maybe that Peter of the birthday. Why do the girls go with the men that do da 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 da? Or think, of being maybe heartbroken. I don't know. But that was another phase. And we all know why. I mean, that's an